I'm about to show you a fabulous reset for your pelvis and also a way to find deeper strength where the femurs connect into your hips. So typically, especially if we have a dance background, we'll tend to activate strength in our glutes by relying on turnout, which is great. That works in a certain way, but there's a whole different kind of connected strength that happens when you set the thigh bones into the pelvis more towards parallel and start activating the adductors and the abductors in a way that can help you lengthen, rebalance, generally access your pelvis motion and also the length of your psoas through that kind of relationship. And that's going to give some relief for the tightness in your butt if that's something that you suffer from. And it can also help you control how much you rely on a lumbar arch when you're working to bring your legs behind your body. So for this setup, you're going to want a yoga block, a miniband, and I've got 26 pounds on each side of my tower. I mean, you do you. Anywhere between 15 to 30 is probably fine. I'm using the shoulder loops from Elements. You don't necessarily need them, but I like them because they fit easily over my calves. Any strap you have that fits over your calves will do just fine. The first thing we're going to do is put the miniband around our knees, just above the calves. Then from there, I like to get the loops on. There's always an element of cat's cradle when you start strapping yourself up and you don't want to get too tangled. And the block goes in between the knees. So now what I have is a situation where my legs are supported both in and out, and they can kind of rest into this situation. So when I lie down, my thigh bones are resting into my pelvis, but also some of the weight is taken off of them. And the first thing I'm going to do is just lie here and take a couple of breaths, trying to inhale more of the back of our body onto the carpet. So as you do this, I'd like you to notice how you start to engage your front body and your inner thighs in order to press more of your breath into the back of your body. And you can start to spread the soles of your hands and your feet more into the carpet. And hopefully that helps you feel your hamstrings start to engage. If you don't feel your hamstrings, just lightly scrub your heels in towards your butt and then push them away a couple of times. And you'll get that feeling of the thighs working into your hips, the abdominals working in concert with that, and your back getting that much longer. Go ahead and take your hands behind your head. Press your head into your hands. Inhale. And then as you exhale, send your head long behind you and your tailbone down through your heels. And then just relax that long shape onto the floor. And we'll start with just doing some pelvic tilts. So drive the tailbone down until your navel lifts up, until you've got the bridge behind your back. And then do the other direction, pulling the pubic bone up and in towards your xiphoid process, finding the way to imprint the lower part of your lower back on the floor. So your pelvis will be rocking. We're not really trying to lift it up a lot, but we are trying to stamp it in a similar way as like if you had a potato stamp, you'd be stamping it on a piece of craft paper. Do about 3 or 4 of these. And then inhale, reach your arms on. Exhale and lift your hips up. Try to keep the spine pretty straight. So we're not rolling the spine up, we're just lifting it up as one unit. Inhale at the top. You're going to feel your hamstrings. That's a good thing. Squeeze the block more. Exhale, lower down. Inhale at the bottom. And exhale, bring it up again. Inhale. And this time, exhale and roll down from the top to the bottom. Inhale, arch the tail. Exhale, pick each piece of your spine up and roll it up. Inhale at the top. push the feet away. And then pull the heels into your butt. And then find somewhere in between where you're happy working. And let's have 4 pelvic tilts here in the air, arching the spine, dropping the tail, and then picking the pubic bone up. Keep the pelvis floating. 2. 3. 4. Roll down. Inhale your arms up, arch the spine. Exhale, bring the arms down. Come up again. And now we're going to roll down on one side of the spine, taking the left hip down and then picking it back up. And then taking the right hip down and picking it back up. And I want you to contact the shapes that your thigh bones are making inside your hips right now. So notice, because of how your hips are facing, one leg is turning out a little bit, the other one's turning in a little bit, but the knees haven't changed where they are in space. Come back up. And now let's shift the hips to the side until you feel the inside of your butt. So I'm shifting to the left until I feel the inside of my left glute work. Come back to center. Right. Center. Left. Center. Right. Center. Now, press your knees apart. You can let the block fall and turn your legs out. We're going to roll down with the legs in a frog type shape. Just feeling the different work there. Arch the tail, come back up. And then pull your heels out wide, turning your knees in. Roll down there. Arch the tail, keep your feet flat. And come back up. And then bring your legs back to parallel. Relax and roll down. Stretch your legs out for a moment. Sit up. We're going to grab the block. And then lie back down. Lift your hips up and place the block underneath them. Now pick your right foot up and turn it out, placing it over the left knee. We'll have 4 pelvis arch curls here. Number 4, come back to a neutral position. Engage both glutes and notice how they're engaged differently. Widen your arms a bit. And 4 times, just shift the feet left and right until you feel a deep stretch along the side waist. Come back to center, other side. And this can be a great way to get into the tight places in your hips that you don't seem to be able to stretch out in any other way. You know, when you push your hips forward, but it goes to the wrong spot. Right here, pushing down on my left foot, engaging my glutes and pushing the hip up, I can get into all of that psoas goodness right inside the SIS. Stretch the leg out. And then put that foot down. Other side. Pick the leg up. Cross it over. Press the knee out. Finding the resistance of all the bands. 4-arch curls in the pelvis. You can let your ribs respond. But keep your glutes active. This isn't so much about strengthening or stretching as it is about proprioceptive learning that's going to help you access larger movements in your workout in a whole new ways. We'll call this one number 4, and then rocking side to side until you feel the good stretch, wherever that is for you. Try not to tip your whole body, but pull the ribs back enough that you can focus the stretch around the lower side waist and into your glutes. And come back to center. Give your butt one last good squeeze. Stretch the leg out. Lower it down straight. You can readjust your hips on the pelvis if you need to. We're just going to stretch both legs out now. Spin your inner thighs down to the ground. Reach your hamstrings down. Try to find your whole sacrum flat on the block and push the legs away. And then take that long yawn. If you're familiar with suppling, this would be a great way to supple. And then release. Rest here or take the block out and rest for a few breaths. And then carry on with your workout.